it occurs to me that I think it's pretty common for people to confuse sympathy and empathy. Um, and to think of really both as kind of as outward focused, as something that only radiates outward. And so I was wondering, you've both hit on the idea, on the notion that empathy and embodiment, really, I guess embodied empathy, allows one to build bridges across differences of experience, right? I wonder if you could both say a little bit more about how empathy works here, how empathy leads to the kind of self-healing or healing within oneself that's necessary to the work of allyship. And maybe even just by defining empathy in a way that I think would be helpful for a lot of our viewers.
Yeah, thanks for that, Cord. It's interesting. I think of sympathy as taking one's own emotional experience or lived experience and imagining it's true for someone else. Or so sort of like, oh, I'm so sorry. That must be so hard. Oh man, that must be so sad for you. And I think of empathy as embodied groundedness in yourself, knowing your own emotions, being aware of them, but then extending real curiosity around the other person's experience, not projecting our own, not imagining what theirs might be, but really creating a space of pure listening. And it's a loving space. It's a space of compassion and deep interest in who that person is and what they're experiencing. And so it's more like, wow, that sounds really intense. What's going on for you? What are you experiencing? What are you feeling right now? How can I support you? And in the space of holding that container with love, so much more can be learned by the person having the experience, because they're invited to look more deeply in the presence of that loving support.
Thank you for that.
I think that's a really great way to explain it. Yeah, that that sense of being grounded. And I think the more work you do on your own, not you in particular, but the more work all of us do in our own healing, the more that we can offer that, right? And I think, because we work with a lot of white allies whose impulse is to do that kind of thing where they're like, oh my God, I can't believe, like, this is so terrible. How can I fix it? And again, it's like, I just see it's like somebody like sort of jumping over into somebody else's space to try to fix it, right? And if you're going through something difficult, you want people to recognize that, but you also want people to recognize your own strength to manage it and to get through it, because you actually can't make it go away for the other person. You can't solve it. That's one of the things that's actually really hard about allyship, because you kind of want to. Everybody that we're working with wants to be good. They want to be a better person. They're really trying. And the only thing that you can do is really work to process in yourself so you can be that calm presence that asks the questions that Dan said of like, oh, wow, what's going on for you? Or, how, and, that's difficult, but letting it be the difficulty that other person is experiencing. And the only way you can get to that is finding that healing and that kind of calm sense in yourself. And that's where I get so, I just believe so strongly in that, the idea like healed people heal others, right? And there's always the invitation to do more with yourself, and that's really where your power is. And I think in the culture that we live in, this sort of white supremacist patriarchal culture, it seems counterintuitive, right? Because there is very little invitation for us to actually heal ourselves, to take the time off, to talk with people, to build connections, to identify the needs of our own body. To work without shame. There's very little space for that. And so when we really push back and invite that, things start to change and really open up.